talk with Mike Irwin about just that. Mike, apologize for the confusion there. Did have two audio sources going at the same time. But it does sound like KJ and the offense, they might have given up a couple of sacks on Saturday, but I think of the word explosive for this team. Running back, this is an explosive group. Quarterback, that's an explosive group. Wide receiver sounds like it is. This is going to be an explosive offense. Do you agree?
Well, I still want to see real games, but and we didn't see this scrimmage, but we've got some stats. And so we know that, for instance, Matt Landers continues to be impressive as a receiver, big 6'5" kid by way of Toledo in Georgia. I mean, he had a 60-yard catch. He had a 50-yard touchdown. Warren Thompson, I saw him starting to step up earlier in the week, and he'd been nowhere. I've been walking around going, where is this guy? He's the one experienced guy they had coming back that played a lot last year. He stepped up, had a 44-yard touchdown catch. And, I mean, Sam Pittman was just over the moon over that. He said, oh, my goodness, if he's back, if he's doing what we think he can do with these other guys, he said after watching that scrimmage, he thinks what he thought might be a weakness now could be a real positive. I mean, other people did well. Hazelwood didn't have the touchdown catches, but he caught a 30-yard pass and some other passes. And then the three freshmen all did well, Satanga and Bakke and McAdoo. So, I mean, you're talking depth. And you're talking also K.J. Jefferson threw the ball really well. And Sam's not a guy that blows smoke. Again, I hesitate to talk about things I don't see, but when he says it, I mean, if it was bad, he'd say it was bad. He said on the first day of pads, offense didn't want the ball. The defense dominated. So this was a bounce back. And then I like the O-line protection. He said it was much better. Yeah, they gave up some sacks. That tells me Drew Sanders had three of them. This guy can rush. And he can do it not just off the edge, because now he's playing a little middle linebacker, but he can do that. So, yeah, I think it was impressive from an offensive standpoint. They did enough defensively that you don't start to get worried about it.
AP poll has come out. Get a reaction from you. Arkansas 19th in the preseason poll. Now, this is notable because the coaches have Cincinnati and Ole Miss right about the same spot that the media does. But the AP has Arkansas 4 spots ahead, which is in front of Ole Miss and in front of Cincinnati. What do you think the media might be seeing that the coaches might not? Or does 4 spots in the AP poll differential with the coaches poll really mean all that much?
I'm just going to go back and say, I don't know if I said this to you guys last week. Coaches poll is an SID poll. They a lot of times vote on this stuff because the coaches just have it and they do this for me. So it may be more of that. I feel like it's a good poll. It's a little more accurate. The only thing I would argue with is here's A&M up there in the top. What is that all about? A&M's always going to win. They're always going to do this. They're hyping Twitter and Facebook like they're going to win the national championship. I see it when I believe it. But that's the only argument I have with that poll. They're just up there too high.
A&M at 6. And a lot of it feels like it's about a recruiting class. And it's like how many of these guys are going to make it, make it to the point where they're a big impact right now? Maybe next year, the year after?
Yeah, I mean, probably reacting to that top number 1 rated class that they bought through NIL and thinking, okay, that's going to have an impact early, and it probably won't. It's more like you say, a next year thing or 2 years from now. So, again, let's see if they have a quarterback. They got a battle going on there, and we'll see if they've got one. They're not beating Alabama. I will stake my career on that. That's not happening.
I'm not going to ask you about if Arkansas will beat Alabama yet, but I do. Sam Pittman last week Sam Pittman didn't even know. This was 4 days after the coaches poll was released. He didn't even know where Arkansas was ranked or if they were ranked. And he's one of the voters, theoretically, because you're saying that in this case, if it's an SID poll, then Kyle Parkinson is doing the voting. We'll see about that. But he didn't even know what the poll is. Like, there are some coaches that will pay attention to that will use it as the so-called bulletin board material. Sam Pittman's like, that doesn't matter at all.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't say that Kyle put the numbers down, but the fact that he had no idea where they ended up with sort of indicates that wasn't an important thing on his schedule.
Yeah, that's exactly what it indicates to me, Mike. And one thing that we are learning about the first scrimmage, I think, has been the wide receiver group. And you heard Sam Pittman and KJ Jefferson over the weekend talk about Isaiah Centena. Is he slowly moving up the depth chart in your opinion on just what we've been hearing out of the coaches and his fellow players?
Well, it looks like all three of those freshmen are going to play. I don't see him as starters, but yeah, I mean, he's got speed. Pittman talked about it. You can't. That's real speed. That's Malik Hornsby type speed. And by the way, guys, notice how quickly all Hornsby stuff went away when this happened. There was not one question about, did Malik catch a pass? Did you throw to him in the scrimmage? Nobody asked that. And it's because you suddenly got all these options, and Malik is back there doing what I think he should do, which is improving a lot at backup quarterback. I've been impressed with him. So, again, you throw these three freshmen into the receivers into the mix with those other guys, and if as Sam Pittman said, if Warren Thompson suddenly is going to play this way, it makes a big difference. And he also said that Hazelwood was a disappointment in the spring. He hadn't said that before. He said, what he's doing right now is totally different from what he did in the spring. And that was the impression I had when we came out of the spring. I'm like, what is that all about? I just didn't see anything there.
Mm-hmm. Well, you bring up Malik Hornsby and how we really haven't heard anything. Do you think that his usage will not be as much as we all kind of think it will be? Because KJ even talked about, he said you can ask Bumper what it's like to face an offense that has two quarterbacks on the field and how much chaos that can cause. But do you think it's the uses of Malik Hornsby and the offense is more hype from us talking heads and us media members than what is actually going to be?
Well, I don't know, but there's certainly no evidence right now that this has been a heavy part of what they do. I mean, when you have a scrimmage and you have all this stuff from the wide receivers and you don't have one mention of Malik Hornsby, I mean, it tells me something's going on there. And Sam Pittman did say, man, might have to reevaluate that thing. So I think he's still going to come in certain situations. I think it does throw a little bit of confusion in there. But I just don't think it's going to be a major part of what they do. It sounds, like something that Kendall Briles would like to do because he's kind of a fool the defense kind of guy. So I think we'll see it. I just don't think it's going to be a huge part of the offense.
On the other side of the ball, Mike, it sounded like they did get to the quarterback a few times. I'd seen this written in The Athletic recently. Arkansas hasn't registered 30 sacks in a season in 10 years. 2012 was the last time they registered 30 sacks or more. That's kind of shocking to think about that. And obviously it goes with a downturn in the program. And now you're back on the way up. And you've got a guy in Drew Sanders, who feels like, I know he's going to be playing in the middle, but they're going to line him up on the outside, and there might be opportunities down the middle. Do you see, I don't ask you for a prediction on the number of sacks, or they're going to lead the league or anything like that, but this could be one of the better pass rushes in the last 10 years, yes or no?
Yeah, I think that may not be saying a whole lot, but I think, yeah, they'll be better. They got some guys at defensive end that can rush the passer too. The big problem on the D-line is in the middle, not on the edge. So I think that the pass rush will be better. And Sanders, he's an interesting guy because we got a chance to finally talk to him. He's very quiet, doesn't say a lot. And Bumper Poole had some interesting comments about him. He said he's way too hard on himself. He's out there learning kind of almost a new position because, as Sanders said, now I'm not worried about one side of the field. I have to scan the whole field. And he said that opens up a lot of mistakes, seeing the wrong thing, doing the wrong thing. But Bumper Poole said he's made a few mistakes, but we've all told him, hey, you're doing great. Don't be so hard on yourself. And he said that's what he does. He beats himself up every time he makes a mistake. But Bumper said, man, this guy is athletic, and he can rush the passer.
And Nico DeVilliers got some love, too, from Coach Pittman.
Right.
You got some injuries on the defensive line. You don't know when and if Torian Carter makes it back this year. Cam Ball sounds like a concussion, though nothing's been confirmed about that. Marcus Miller out for a bit with a knee injury. So that's a position, a tackle that you've really had some injury issues. And Sam Pittman shouted out Nico DeVilliers, the kid from Maumelle, freshman, who might actually get some playing time as a freshman.
Exactly. I mean, right now, what you're looking at is Hampton, this A-State transfer at nose guard, and they like him. So he's stubby. That's what you want from a nose guard. 6'1", 314, get up under that center, create some issues. And then you got Isaiah Nichols out there. You know, he's kind of the bell cow in that group. And now you need somebody else to step up, and this kid comes out of nowhere. You don't think of a freshman as playing at D tackle. And he's now up to about 280, 6'4", 280, and we'll get bigger. But, yeah, that was good news to hear, because that's where I think when you start looking at something now where there's not a lot of depth, and, you know, you're thinking that could be a problem, that's what I look at. I'm going to be looking at that when the season starts to see what the opponent does average yard per carry against that defense.
I know earlier today, practice has already concluded. Cody Kennedy met with the media. I don't know which offensive linemen were part of this, but it sounds like now maybe the battle for left tackle isn't decided yet, but it looks like it's starting to come into form here, what your offensive line will look like. And you might have a little switcheroo going on at right tackle with Dalton Wagner and Tykeus Crawford at times, but it sounds like Sam Pittman has Crawford on the right side specifically. Luke Jones will probably be your left tackle to transfer from Notre Dame.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't out there this morning. I mean, they got up way too early for me, guys. we had somebody else assigned to go to that practice. I got to go to one on Thursday that starts more like 8 o'clock, not early. The early one. No, wait, I think it's more like 10. But anyway, that was too early for me, so I wasn't there. But I think the offensive line is fine. They got one position to figure out, and it sounds like they already are pretty far down the road figuring out what they're going to do there. Sam Pittman doesn't blow smoke. When he said that O-line pass blocking was really good, man, that was good news to hear. We know they can run block. Pass blocking has been an issue, and I think they're going to be better. I think this team is better at almost every position. Maybe D-line is still an issue. But Sam said on Saturday, we are ahead of where we were last year at this time. Well, if you're ahead of a team that won 9 games, that's looking good to me.
Mm-hmm. Mike, I know you got to go. Appreciate you for hopping on with us. Thanks again, and we'll do it again.
All right, see you guys.
Appreciate it, Mike.
Mike Irwin from Pig Trail Nation. Depth is tested a little bit at some positions in camp, but I think you already have a deep group at receiver. Can we put it to bed right now? You can't put it to bed right now. Not until a couple of games have been played.
We need about a month from
Cincinnati and South Carolina at least to get a sense whether or not this receiver room is deep or better than last year too. You didn't know it after the second week last year, though you felt pretty good about things, that's for sure.
BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports, contests, and events with first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews and news for every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your sports information, from live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to join today and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50 to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's BELIEVE, BLEAV 50. That's BELIEVE, BLEAV 50. Bet online, where the game starts.